Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here who is going to be joining our program today. Matt Martin was the first one in here. Matt, glad to see you. Hope to see you many more times. We haven't seen Matt in a while. Darren Graham, hello everyone. Hello Darren, it's good to see you. Sleeping Volcano's here. Berlinda Mustafa's here. Aubrey's here. Sleeping Volcano. NCWQ Rebecca's here. Ray Spur is here. We appreciate all of you being here, everyone. Thank you for being here. Deborah Reese is here. Arnold Schmidt is here. Thank you so much. Demon Catman from the east of England. Welcome, guys. We appreciate all of you. My dear friend Laura from Oregon is here. Scott is here. Thank you so much, Scott, for being here. Guys, we have a jam-packed schedule for you tonight. Literally. I'm almost blown away about the amount of information we're going to be giving you tonight. I want to first talk about some things that have happened before today. Okay? That's the biggest things I want to bring out as we get started today. First off, way down south in the Tongan Islands, we had a we had a very strong, and I'm going to say major earthquake. USGS had this yesterday as a 6.9 earthquake. They had it as a 6.9 earthquake. I came out and dubbed it as a 7.4 to 7.5 major earthquake. And I stand by that. I absolutely stand by that. Now, I want to show you some other things that are going on. Okay? I want to show you this, for example. This is the statistics for that earthquake. It came out as a 6.9 earthquake, Pangaea, Tonga. Okay? 6.9 earthquake. However, look at the middle of this. Look at the middle of this. This is the back seismologist study page, guys. Look at the middle of it. Okay? It says 6.9. The USBS kept it as a 6.9 quake, but they said there were 44 seismic stations, 44 seismographs recorded this quake, allegedly. But the USGS is still not allowing us to see the statistics on this quake. No station details contributed. They don't want to admit how strong this quake was. Like I said, I believe it was a 6.4 to 6.5 quake. However, they do have station details for a 6.3. Now, they say here that there's 226 stations reporting this quake. There's actually 280. I have been through every magnitude that they have here. Notice they don't come anywhere to a 6.9. I'm going to show you this. 6.18, 6.24, 6.42, 5.57, 6.4, 6.24, 6.14, 6.27, 6.39, 6.45, 6.17, 6.63, 6.37, 6.53, 6.07, 6.45, 6.21, 5.89, 6.43, and a 6.38. Now, I didn't want to go through every magnitude earthquake that they had here. It's pointless. Not one of the stats here on this particular earthquake have they even come close to a 6.9. They will never ever admit how strong these earthquakes are. This was a 6.9, 7.5 earthquake. They call it a 6.9, I call it a 7.5 earthquake. Plain and simple. Let's go back to that picture I just showed you here, right here. This, folks, was right smack dab in the middle of Tofua volcano crater. This is the Tofua volcanic crater. Okay? This happened yesterday morning. There were 3 other earthquakes that happened. 3 other earthquakes that happened. One was a 4.1 earthquake. 8 hours before this earthquake hit. 8 hours before the alleged 6.9 hit. There's also 2 other quakes here. There are 2 other earthquakes. Okay? Now, I want to show you what those earthquakes are. I want to show you exactly what happened here. Okay? These are the other 3 earthquakes. Over on the left-hand side, the left-hand earthquake is a 6.1 earthquake. The one on the right-hand side is a 6.5 earthquake. Those are aftershocks. The other one far to the west is a 4.1 that was a foreshock. These other 2 earthquakes to the left and to the right of this 6.9 earthquake are aftershocks. These 2 earthquakes are aftershocks. Okay? It's interesting how this happens. Again, this is in the Tofua volcanic crater. The Tofua volcanic crater. This is 44 miles west of Pangai, Tonga. Okay? It's interesting how this happens. I've been watching these earthquakes happen a lot. Now, we have one earthquake that happened a long time ago, just about 2 years ago, and it was also here in Tonga. It was at another volcano here in Tonga. It was at the Hunga-Tunga-Hapa volcano. The Hunga-Hunga-Hapai volcano in Tonga. It exploded. Just like you see where this volcano is today. The thing exploded. It's no longer even any resemblance to an island. But this still looks like an island to me. Okay? This is an earthquake right now. I believe, like I said, it was a 7.5 earthquake, not a 6.9. Not a 6.9 earthquake at all. USBS can say whatever they want, and they usually do. United States Geological Survey, I would love to talk to you. And in fact, if you were willing, call me tomorrow. Call me tomorrow so we can talk. And I will even let you go on our air and talk about this earthquake. You can talk about this earthquake all day long. But I expect you to be honest with us. Because we do not put out any information whatsoever that we can't back up. I want to make that point perfectly clear right now. If you expect to come on this air, I expect you to be honest. I want you to be honest with me when we talk. And I will let you talk to me before we go on the air. But if I detect any deception, you will not go on this air, nor will I allow you to ever come on this air again. Again, this was a 6.9 earthquake that they said it was. But I believe it was a 7.5 earthquake. Okay? The epicenter was over at this volcano, the Tofua volcano, or Tofua volcano, T-O-F-U-A. T-O-F-U-A volcano. Now, by their data, it was an unusual place. It was centered at the Tofua Island volcano. The last time Tonga experienced a 6.9 earthquake was a magnitude 6.9 that struck the Niafu Tonga area on Sunday, July 2nd, 2024. Just about a month and a half ago. month and a half ago, they had another 6.9 earthquake that struck the Niafu, Tonga area on July 2nd this year. Now, why do I know that? Because I've been following it, and I've been giving you all the information about these earthquakes. I'm going to always tell you what's going on. I did not show this earthquake yesterday, nor did I come on the air for anything more than Sunday school. I was not feeling good yesterday at all. Otherwise, we would have come on the air and talked about this earthquake. But there's something else, too. There's something else that you need to know that happened yesterday. Now, I'm going to pull up the National Buoy Center. Up here in the central part, north central part of the Gulf of Alaska, we had a buoy in activation mode all day long. Literally all day long yesterday. It's no longer in activation mode. Now, I've spoken to several of you about this earthquake, about this buoy in activation mode. I believe USGS had an earthquake here, but they did not admit to any earthquake at all. NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, showed this as an active buoy. Now, buoys do not become active unless there's something else going on. A hurricane, for example, a strong tropical storm, or an earthquake. I believe there was an earthquake here yesterday that made that buoy go off. Now, I have something else I want to show you. Okay? Let's go to the earthquake map. I just love this. I literally love this, guys. Let me take down my banner and take down my live video of me here. I want to take you now over to Alaska. Okay? Next stop, Alaska, guys. Next stop, Alaska. Today, over here in the south part of the Alaska Peninsula, just south of the peninsula of Alaska here. Folks, guess where this is? This is a 5.1 earthquake south of Sandpoint, Alaska. South of Sandpoint, Alaska. Why is this important? This happened today. But why do you think this is important? 3.5 years ago, guys, we had a 7.8 earthquake here. A 7.8 earthquake that caused a 2.5 to 3 foot tsunami in the same area. Just about 7 days later, we had an 8.7. First a 7.8 and then an 8.7 earthquake here. This is a large 5.1 earthquake. It's not anywhere near land. This earthquake is nowhere near land. And it did not cause any damage. This is on the Aleutian Island Fault Zone, as you can see, in the northern Pacific Ocean. Now, why is this important? Because, folks, we've had earthquakes here before. Significant earthquakes. Very, very dangerous earthquakes. And we can't say anything less than that. Very dangerous earthquakes. And it's very likely that could happen again. It is very likely that it could happen again. Now, let's go look at Alaska right now. Okay? I'm going over to Anchorage, Alaska right now and show you what's going on. Nothing. Absolutely nothing is happening in Anchorage. North of Anchorage, okay? First off, this is Anchorage, Alaska right here. Okay? North of Anchorage, Alaska out here in the Cook Inlet here. This is the Cook Inlet. Okay? We have a 1.7 tremor here. They say this is 8 kilometers east of Point McKenzie, Alaska. Well, guess what? It's nowhere near Point McKenzie. USBS cannot tell us where anything is, because they don't know themselves, because they can't put the coordinates together for much of anything. This is a 1.3 tremor just north of there. North and east of there. This is a 1.4 tremor, they say, that's northwest of Big Lake, Alaska. And we can see that it's north of Big Lake, Alaska right here. Northwest of Big Lake, Alaska. Okay? Then we go further to the northwest here. This is a 1.5 tremor here, 17 kilometers west-southwest of Willow, Alaska. And that's fine and good. That's fine and good. What else do we know about this area? Let's go over here to the east. Chicxulub, Alaska. This is a 1.6 tremor here. But the fact of the matter is this, guys. We've had earthquakes here. We've even had a 4.8 earthquake here in the last month. Okay? Let's go further to the east here. This is a 2.5 earthquake. This time they say this is 11 kilometers north of Glacier View, Alaska. North of Glacier View, Alaska. Well, guess what? Where's Glacier View? Right there. Glacier View is just right there. Glacier View is north of Valdez. Valdez, Alaska here. Okay? Let's go north. I just love this. I just love this. We have an earthquake here. This is a 1.8 tremor. 1.8 tremor. Why is this significant? This is at Mount McKinley. This earthquake is at Mount McKinley. It's a tremor. Over here on the eastern side of Mount McKinley, we have another 1.3 tremor. But, again, USBS is identifying these locations as being north-northeast of Petersville, Alaska. Guess what? Petersville, Alaska is south of here. Nowhere near Petersville, Alaska. Here's a tremor here, a 1.3, also, they say, 57 kilometers north-northeast of Petersville, Alaska. Petersville, Alaska is way south of here. This is in Denali National Park. USBS is not saying anything about Denali National Park. Incredible. Incredible. Richard Smith, we're glad to have you here. We're very glad to have you all here. Skip Kelly is here. Welcome, Skip. We appreciate you being here. Kristen Cashel is here. Thank you for being here. Sherry's here. Yes, Sherry, that's in Alaska. It's definitely in Alaska. Let's go north. We just barely had this earthquake here. This is a 1.2 tremor, 32 kilometers allegedly southeast of Minto, Alaska, north of Denali, Alaska. We go further north here. This is a 1.4 tremor. This tremor is as far north as any earthquakes go today. However, it didn't get up to the Arctic Circle here. Way up here is the Arctic Circle here. They didn't get no earthquakes or tremors or anything got even close to the Arctic Circle today. Nowhere even close to the Arctic Circle. Nothing. Okay? This is pretty good for Alaska. Usually we have about 70 to 80 earthquakes here in Alaska. I believe we may be close to 50 earthquakes here in Alaska. 50 earthquakes here in Alaska. Now I want to go over to northeastern Alaska, or southeastern Alaska here. Yakutak, Alaska. This is a 2.3 earthquake. A 2.3 minor earthquake, Yakutak, Alaska. Okay? Let's go over here, further south. They say this is 2.2 earthquake, minor earthquake, 2.2 minor earthquake, 46 kilometers east of Yakutak, Alaska. Interesting, it's southeast of Yakutak, Alaska. Now, why am I going here? Because, folks, something else has happened over here in southeastern Alaska. This area has gotten a lot of rain, a ton of rain here. About 2.5 inches of rain. And as a result here, guys, there's been a great problem here. I want to play this video for you, and then we'll talk about Ketchikan, Alaska. A landslide in Ketchikan, Alaska happened yesterday. The slide struck on October 25th, damaging buildings, homes, and a lot of property. Residents were evacuated after a huge rainstorm dumped 2.5 inches of rain. Power outages followed. Alaska Governor Dunleavy declared a disaster area, and local agencies also came in as well. The mayor signed a broader safety issue. Over 1 million tourists visit the port city annually. They visit the port city annually, guys. Now, I'm not going to go any further with that video. You saw the damage that we showed you. Now, I want to show you, or talk about this great big huge landslide. Okay? This particular landslide yesterday killed 1 person, injured 3 others in Ketchikan, Alaska. Ketchikan, Alaska is a popular cruise ship stop. A landslide cut a deep path down a steep, thickly forested hillside. The landslide crashed into several homes in Ketchikan, killing 1 person and injuring 3 others in the latest such disaster to strike the mountainous southeastern Alaska area. The landslide Sunday afternoon prompted mandatory evacuations of nearby homes in the city. A popular cruise ship stop along the famed Inside Passage in the Alaska Panhandle. The slope of the mountain still remained unstable today, and authorities said the state and local geologists were arriving to assist and assess the potential for further landslides that are happening here. Last November, 6 people were killed, including a family of 5, when a landslide destroyed 2 homes in Wrangell, Alaska, about 100 miles, 161 kilometers to the north. Torrential rains were blamed for landslides that killed 2 people in Haines, Alaska in 2020, and 3 people in Sitka, Alaska in 2015. Mayor Dave Kiefer said in his 65 years in Ketchikan that he's never seen a slide of this magnitude. With the slides that we've seen across this region, there's clearly a region-wide issue that we need to try to understand with the support of our state geologists. The loss of life is heartbreaking. And he said his heart and my own heart go out to all those who lost lives and who lost their homes. Andrew Park, who's a meteorologist in Juneau, that's north of Ketchikan, along with the National Weather Service, said that the landslide that hit this area followed a weekend bout of rain amid an abnormally dry August. The Weather Service early Monday said Ketchikan had received about 2.6 inches of rain, 66 millimeters of rain in about 36 hours. The rainfall totals of higher elevations nearby ranged from 5 to 9 inches. 5 to 9 inches of rain at higher elevations, approximately 127 to 229 millimeters of rain. That's a lot of moisture. Landslides can be unpredictable. This one in Ketchikan occurred without certain other risk factors, such as high winds. There weren't any big red flags that you normally see with landslides. Leah Canfield was trying to nap when the slide struck. Lee Canfield saw a flash of light she initially thought was lightning, but it was likely an electrical conductor exploding. And then her house started rumbling. She woke her spouse and they grabbed their dogs and headed outside. When we started coming down the stairs, we seen that, there's a lot of debris that was flying around outside our office window. And we realized, that this is probably much bigger than just an earthquake. They found their neighbor's home had been plunged downward, further down the hill, part of it coming to rest in their front yard. Another 2-story house next door partially collapsed and slid into another different home, knocking it off its foundation. Trees and debris and a telephone pole landed on the roof of Canfield's home. But Canfield said she believed the house could be salvaged. After calling family members to let them know that they were okay, they walked away about 20 minutes to a hotel. Why? Why did they walk? Because their pickup truck was buried by an uprooted tree. Ketchikan is surrounded by the Tonga National Forest, a temperate rainforest that encompasses much of southeastern Alaska. Landslides strike often in this region, but those landslides rarely garner little notice when they hit. They usually hit in these unpopulated remote areas, and intensifying storms destabilizes soil, and these soil destabilization pose more risk to communities. Now, the Democrat Communist Party here in America is calling it climate change. This is not climate change, guys. This has nothing to do with climate change. The destabilization of weather is called weather manipulation. Weather manipulation. Because of the steep terrain in this area, there's limited room for development in the region. Cities and roads are being built at the base of the slopes. Increasingly, landslides are occurring in inhabited areas of old infrastructure. Old infrastructure. These roads and the power poles and such have been built and put in harm's way. It's becoming more and more of a common problem that are impacting people who live in this area. Andrew Jacobs, who's a meteorologist and senior service hydrologist with the National Weather Service, says that he planned to travel to Ketchikan today to study the soil composition in the area and try to pinpoint why this landslide occurred in this area during a period of drought before the weekend's rainfall. Again, this area had been in a drought situation just prior to this weekend, when 2.26 inches of rain fell. We're going to learn more about this, and hopefully we can figure out what caused it, then we can move forward. Alaska Governor Mike Dinleavy declared an emergency for Ketchikan, while Kiefer and Ketchikan Gateway Borough Mayor Rodney Dial said they issued a separate emergency declaration. An emergency shelter was set up at Ketchikan High School. Now, these emergency declarations will assist the governor in making sure that these areas can receive emergency assistance from the federal government to recover the areas and the people to recover their homes. 2 of the victims in the Ketchikan area were admitted to the hospital. 1 was treated and released, and all other individuals have been accounted for. Okay? It's not immediately clear how many homes were damaged. We know of at least 3 homes from the description we got from Alaska. The State Department of Transportation is sending a drone operator into Ketchikan to help assess the slide. Michael Robinson, I can't even think straight. Michael Robbins, the superintendent of schools in Ketchikan, said today on social media that a dozen people were staying at the shelter at the local high school as of this morning. People often stay with friends or relatives after such events. so it remains unknown how many people have actually been displaced. Power was restored to some areas by 8:15 p.m. Sunday. Other areas still remain without power as of this morning until they clear the landslide and broken power poles are replaced. Landslides include debris flows often triggered by heavy rains. When logging or fire destroys trees, loss of root structure can weaken the soil. Rain that isn't being sucked up by the plants can saturate the ground, making it more likely to slide. In this case, that's exactly what happened. 2.26 inches of rain fell, totally saturating the ground. The ground cover could not hold the earth in place. Other types of slides include creeps, where the slide creeps along, doesn't go far, doesn't go fast, but creeps. These creeps usually move slowly downward, and rock falls happen. Rock falls happen during these creeps. In Alaska, as you know, Alaska is way up north. They have melting permafrost where the ground slightly melts and just barely becomes unfrozen. Retreating glaciers also help the landslides along. Earthquakes also help loosening the land. And pounding rains can all trigger landslides. There have been many other landslides in southeastern Alaska. It's been said that it's steep country, but every place in this area is steep country in southeastern Alaska. Intense rains are expected to be more frequent in the region and other parts of the West Coast, heightening landslide risk. Researchers are blaming atmospheric rivers for landslides in southeastern Alaska after landslides killed 3 people in Sitka, Alaska in 2015 and 2 in Haines, Alaska in 2020. 1 person was killed in Ketchikan during yesterday's landslide. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Anytime we see a landslide kill people, it's a big deal. Okay? It's a very big deal. Now, that was evacuated. I want to go back to the USGS map here for just a minute. Okay? In this case, I'm going to take my mug down. I'm going to take the Emergency Management Associates banner down. And I'm going to show you what else happened here around the world. We're going to go over briefly to Europe. Okay? We had an earthquake just off the southwest coast of Portugal. Just off the southeast coast of Lisbon, Portugal, which is the capital of Portugal. This earthquake happened just north of the Azore Islands here. This is a very, very destructive 5.4 earthquake. A very destructive 5.4 earthquake happened here off the coast of Lisbon, Portugal. It was 52 kilometers west of Lisbon. Now, normally, we don't see damage from these earthquakes this far offshore. Unfortunately, the bedrock where this earthquake hit is very unstable. The earthquake hit 17 miles deep. I'm sorry, not 17 miles, 17 kilometers deep. Hard bedrock. The bedrock shook. From what I'm being told, there is damage near Sines, Portugal, SINES, and at Lisbon, Portugal as well. I've been in contact with Lisbon authorities since we've done disaster drills, long-distance disaster drills here, and we will be speaking with Lisbon authorities probably by morning. So I'll probably have more information about this earthquake by morning. But again, a 5.4 earthquake hit off the southwestern coast of Lisbon, Portugal today. Okay? We have not seen an earthquake here in years. A lot of years. I don't remember it in my lifetime. Okay? Yes, we have seen earthquakes over here in the southeastern Azore Islands, right here off the southern Portugal coast. This happens frequently here. But we almost never have any earthquakes this far north off the coast. Okay? Today, over here at the the Strait of Gibraltar, we had a 2.1 earthquake here. Further east over here on the eastern side of the Strait of Gibraltar, we have had several earthquakes here. We've had swarms of earthquakes here in the past. These swarms of earthquakes come from that same earthquake fault coming out of Turkey, Syria area. See this earthquake fault right here? Running through northern Africa here, going all the way out here to Sicily, going all the way over here to southwestern Greece. Then it goes south of Crete here, and it continues through the eastern Mediterranean, and it goes south of Cyprus here, and then it goes straight up into Turkey, Syria area. What do we know about this Turkey-Syria border region? USGS is not showing any earthquakes here again. There are about 30 earthquakes here in the Turkey-Syria border region. Why? Because a year and a half ago, February 3rd, 2023, we had a major 9.0, 10.0 megathrust earthquake here. A major 9.0, 10.0 megathrust earthquake here. Over 5,000 people were killed, and over 5,000 people were injured here. There was very major damage here. Buildings pancaked. Buildings fell straight down to the ground during the shaking. People lost their homes. The people that lost their homes ended up spending night after night, day after day out in the extreme cold of the weather here, both in Turkey and Syria. This earthquake here in Turkey-Syria area also opened up a great big huge 14-mile long fissure. A big huge 14-mile long fissure. That fissure was 8 stories deep. That fissure here was 8 stories deep, deep enough to hold an 8-story building. 14 miles long. It was a major megathrust earthquake. That same fault line runs down here into the Mediterranean Sea, over here south of Cyprus, all the way over here to southern Greece, south of Crete, Greece here, over here on the northeastern side of Greece here, near Ostia, Greece here, we have a 4.5 earthquake. But they're still not showing all the earthquakes here. There are about 28 earthquakes here in Greece. And USGS shows 1. Sad. That same Antonia fault zone here runs from Greece all the way over here to southern Italy. There are earthquakes here in southern Italy as well. Earthquakes over here in the central Italy as well. Again, they're not showing anything here. They're not showing any earthquakes here in Romania. There's one earthquake over here in Romania as well. Now, over here into France, southwestern France here, 2 minor earthquakes here. 2 minor earthquakes here. Over here in Germany, Switzerland area, there's 2 other earthquakes here. Minor tremors. Minor tremors here. Portugal, a very large earthquake here. Why are they not keeping track and showing us what's going on? Inquiring minds want to know. Southern Spain also has a few minor earthquakes here. They want to know. Scandinavia. Good old Scandinavia here. southeastern Norway. Southeastern Norway right here. Vivik, southeastern Norway had a 2.4 earthquake here. Going over here into southwestern Sweden, we had two other minor earthquakes here, and also over here. I want to show you this. There's a 1.87 earthquake right here. This is just north of Stockholm. North of Stockholm. When I lived here in Sweden, we never felt or even were told that there were any earthquakes here. Usually there are none. But as of the last 2.5 years, we've had earthquakes here in Sweden, Finland here, and over here in Norway. Interesting. Now, we go over here to Iceland. Go over here to Iceland. We're still having earthquakes here. What did we see happening here on Friday? On Friday over here in the Reykjanes Peninsula area, north of Greenvik. North of Greenvik. We had a volcanic eruption, didn't we? A great big, huge, long fissure erupted. 13,000 feet long. 13,000 feet long. Well, guess what? The fissure is still producing lava. Lava flowing out of these fissures is erupting up to 300 feet high. 300 feet high, a foot high, lava flows. Great big huge fissures opening up here. And now some part of these fissures are turning into craters. Some of the fissures that opened up here have turned into craters. Some parts of the fissure have slowed down in their eruption already. Now that probably means that the eruption is slowing. That we hope. That we hope is happening. However, we can't be sure. No one knows. Even Professor Thorvaldsson, who I talked to early this morning, doubts that this eruption is going to slow down. It might pick up. But right now, the portion of the southern part of the lava flow has slowed down. Some part of the lava flow is also picked up here to the north. And they expect it to go on for a while. Like I said, part of the fissure that opened up has now developed into craters. Into craters. Volcanic craters. That's what happened the last time we had an eruption here in Iceland. 3 craters developed out of a long fissure. 3 huge craters erupted. Then one crater died out, the second crater died out, and the furthest southernmost crater kept going for another 2 months. And it finally stopped erupting. Now, we talked to you about what's going on here. This eruption is nowhere near any residential areas. It's way north of Greenvik. They expect it not to even have anything to do with Greenvik this time. Okay? It's nowhere near the power plant here in Svartsengi. This is a Svartsengi power plant. Just west of the power plant here is the Blue Lagoon Spa. The Blue Lagoon Spa. Authorities, as I showed you last Friday, built a huge wall around Greenvik and a huge wall around the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon Spa. Even the weather has been cooperating, and the toxic smoke, the ash and the SO2 sulfur dioxide and CO2 carbon dioxide have not bothered the area around the Svartsengi power plant and the Blue Lagoon. They have air quality monitors here, and so far they have had no big differences in air quality. So if the air quality remains in place like it has, it's very possible that they may repopulate the Blue Lagoon Spa and Hotel. They may. I just checked the chat. I try to periodically check the chat, and apparently the chat would not let in Don Patoka, one of my mods. Incredible. Don Aubrey had the same problem 2 weeks ago. It wouldn't let her in the chat at all for 2 weeks. They said YouTube told her that she had viewed child programming on YouTube, and as a result they were not letting her view our program. But now that's not the case. They've now let Aubrey back into the chat here. I talked to Aubrey earlier this afternoon as well. Silver Minx is here in the chat. I appreciate Silver Minx being here. Thank you for being here. Haiti is here. Thank you for being, or Hattie is here. Thank you for being here. Pam Miller is here. Thank you so much. Yes, YouTube, I wish you would stop putting the ads on this channel. They're inundating this channel, guys. As of about 2 weeks ago, YouTube has been inundating this channel for whatever reason. I don't know. I know YouTube doesn't like me. And that's fine. I don't really give a flying rat's butt about whether YouTube likes me or not. But I wish they would leave us alone. Let us do our job. Hattie says, I love you, Newsline. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I try to give information here to you guys that you might need to use in your life or for whatever reason. I try to keep up with what's going on. Now, besides that, what else has been happening? What do you think's been happening, guys? What do you think's been happening? Let's pull this YouTube earthquake map down. I'm not going to take it off, but I'm going to take it down here so you can see other things that are going on here. Okay, north of Iceland. This is something you all ought to know about. North of Iceland in the Svalbard region. Svalbard area is this island north of this earthquake. Here we have a 4.5 earthquake here. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to take my mug down. I should have done that anyway. Over here, just south of Svalbard here, we have another 4.5 moderate earthquake. This earthquake is 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. Notice where this earthquake is. It's on the mid-Atlantic fault here. The mid-Atlantic fault. Again, I want to emphasize that the mid-Atlantic fault is expanding. It's pushing Europe and Scandinavia in an easterly direction. It's pushing Greenland, Canada, the United States, and northern Mexico in a southwesterly direction. Meaning the Atlantic Ocean is expanding. The Atlantic Ocean, the Atlantic plate is expanding. Now, let's go over here to northern South America. Okay? This earthquake here. This is off the north coast of Panama. Off the north coast of Panama here. This is a very dangerous earthquake. A very dangerous earthquake. When I heard this come out this morning, I almost went ballistic. A 5.8 earthquake. And this may have been stronger than that. But as of 6 o'clock this evening Eastern Time, I still had not been able to get into the depths of the seismologist study page to find out how strong this earthquake really is. I believe it is much stronger than this, even upwards of a 6.2. A 6.2 very strong earthquake. This is along what they call the Cocos Plate. I'm sorry, I don't know why they did that. I was trying to enlarge this area here so you can see where this earthquake hit. This is on what they call the Cocos Plate. The Cocos Plate here in Central America. The Cocos Plate is pushing. It's pushing eastbound here. Northeastbound. With Mexico, the United States, and Canada being pushed by the Atlantic Plate in a southwesterly direction, this area is going northeastbound. Okay? It's a possibility at some point in time. Now, I spoke to a geologist friend of mine, and he believes this too, that at some point in time, Central America is going to crack. Central America is going to crack. He believes it's probably going to be along the Panama Canal area. Since men dug that canal, it may crack there. But it may crack in this area right here. It may crack in this area right here, and that might be the cause of today's earthquake, as that the plate is starting to crack here, and the landmass will be popped open. The landmass here in Panama, Costa Rica area could be popped open. Okay? I'm just saying, that's what I've heard. We've also got a lot of other small earthquakes all over Central America here. We have a massive amount of earthquakes over here in Mexico. 35 earthquakes here in southern Mexico, from northern Guatemala all the way up here to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico here. This is Puerto Vallarta. Earthquakes range here from Puerto Vallarta south here all the way down here to Guatemala. All the way down here to Guatemala. 35 earthquakes all throughout this area. Now, I want to go over here into the Gulf of California really quickly. Right up here in the northern part of the Gulf of California, we have a 3.5 earthquake here. Now, while this 3.5 earthquake is not a big deal, it's on the San Andreas Fault here. It's on the San Andreas Fault. We've seen seismic energy come up here. A 3.5 is just a small earthquake. It's not a moderate earthquake, it's not a large earthquake, it's a small earthquake. Well, this does not pose a lot of danger. I believe we have a lot of seismic energy holed up here in the Gulf of California along the San Andreas Fault. We might see that energy force its way up through northern Mexico here. We may find it pushing its way north into California here. California. The Imperial Valley here of California. At the border area of Mexico and the United States. Okay? I've talked about this a lot. I've talked about this area a lot. This border area here is what they call Guadalupe, Victoria. Guadalupe, Victoria, Mexico. It borders the Imperial Valley and northern Mexico here. April 3rd, 2010. We had a major 7.1 earthquake here in that same border area. Calexico on the north and Mexicali on the south side of the border. That earthquake caused a lot of damage in those two border regions, those two border cities. It also provided a lot of damage up here into the Imperial Valley of California. A lot of damage over into San Diego County as well. Earthquake down here at the border also was felt all the way up into Arizona. Tucson area felt this earthquake. The earthquake was felt all the way up into the desert areas, up into Nevada. Felt all the way over into northern Los Angeles. That's how strong this earthquake was. Authorities believe that earthquake, April 3rd, 2010, was not a 7.1 but an 8.1 earthquake. They've now revised the statistics of that earthquake to be a possible 8.1 earthquake. Yet when I was doing the disaster drill in San Diego, they said, oh, don't worry, it's only a 7.1 earthquake in the Imperial Valley area. Folks, I saw window panes, glass panes, fall out of skyscrapers high and smash on the sidewalks beneath. That was in San Diego County, downtown San Diego. Incredible. Incredible. Today, Chula Vista, California. I just love this. I just love showing you this. This is a 1.3 tremor in Chula Vista. Southeast of Chula Vista. I get a kick out of showing you this. Why? Because I have done a lot of hiking in this area. A ton of hiking. Now, Laura Marie knows this area pretty well herself. She may not have gone into Chula Vista as much as I had, but she probably knows this area pretty well too. This looks like a vacant area, doesn't it? It's not. It's not. There are homes in this area too. This is an old satellite view of this area. Okay? This is only a 1.3 tremor. Probably was not even felt. Most people would never ever be able to feel a tremor. Most people won't even feel a 2.5, 3.0 earthquake. Most people would feel a 3.5. This was not even close to that. This is a 1.3 tremor out here southeast of downtown Chula Vista. Notice there are homes here, over here. A lot of homes. A ton of homes. Okay? Over here to the southeast. A lot of manufacturing's going on here. A ton of it. Over here, homes again. A lot of homes. West here. This is not a good area. Sewage from the Tijuana River in Mexico leaks over into this area. And it becomes very hazardous. Very hazardous. Further south here is a quarry. Quarries and also housing developments here. San Isidro, California. The United States side of the border. San Isidro, California. Wonderful place to be, huh? Absolutely. San Isidro, look at this. Right alongside the border. Now we have Tijuana down here. Tijuana down here. Great place, huh? Great place. I spent a lot of time here. I spent a ton of time here. This is the Imperial Beach. I used to go surfing down here off the coast here in Imperial Beach. Great place. Right now this beach area is closed because of sewage coming out of the Tijuana River. Earlier this past week I monitored this area and the beach area is still closed. They don't want anybody going out into the water here in the Imperial Beach area. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Anyway, that's San Diego County. I spent a lot of time here in San Diego County. A ton of time. Over here, Escondido. This is a 1.0 tremor here in Escondido, California. Guess what? I used to live here in Escondido. North of that, the Pala Indian Reservation. Where have you heard that name? The Pala Indian Reservation is here in North San Diego County, northeastern San Diego County. We had a 3.5 earthquake here 2 weeks ago. Pala Indian Reservation. Further to the northeast, also northeast San Diego County, the Palomar Observatory. The Palomar Observatory, the great astronomical instruments here. 0.6 microquake. Palomar Observatory, guys. Almost straight north from there. This is Fallbrook, California. Fallbrook, California, great place, wonderful place. I've got friends in Fallbrook. This is also part of the Anza-Borrego Desert area. Anza-Borrego Desert, northeast San Diego County. Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. Also part of this area here. This is Borrego Springs, the Anza-Borrego Desert area. Okay? Great place. Wonderful place. Like I said, I've spent a lot of time in this area. Los Angeles. We're not seeing anything of any substance here in Los Angeles. Why? Because they're not talking about Los Angeles. They don't want us to see anything here in Los Angeles. Hey, Richard, send some chips here. I want some chips. Richard Smith is here in the chat saying he's eating chips listening to me. Watching the boxing match. Wow. Lots of fun. Let's go over into northeastern Los Angeles area. Loma Linda Medical Center. Loma Linda, California. This is a 0.8 microquake just south of the Loma Linda Medical Center. Just south of the Loma Linda Medical Center. The medical center is way up here. This is the Loma Linda Medical Center here. This earthquake is further south right here. Looks like it's in the residential area. Just a microquake. Nobody felt this quake either. But I will bet you this, there's a lot more going on here than they're talking about. Tomorrow night we'll talk about earthquakes here in Los Angeles and Southern California. Can't wait. Can't wait. Renee Steppe, I hope you have a good night. Renee Steppe says she has to go. She has a doctor's appointment early tomorrow morning. This week, guys, let's pray for Renee. She's having surgery on Friday. Very delicate surgery on her foot, and she needs our prayers. Prayers for the surgeon's hands to be guided, and pray for her that she might have a good healing. She needs that. We appreciate you, Renee. Have a good night. Don Patoka says, we get it, stop or it will not be a good time in the EMA sandbox. Like you, so let's not go there, okay? My good friend Don Patoka always talks to you guys. He talks to me too. Don and I talk frequently. Guys, don't get into boxing matches here in the chat. Don't argue, don't fight, just have a good time. Okay? You don't want to get into a boxing match with me or anybody else. It won't go good. You need to play well in the EMA sandbox, guys. Ray, be good. Arnold, be careful. You need to be good and play in the sandbox, all right? Donna said here in the chat that YouTube has taken down 2 channels in the last 24 hours for talking about facts that they don't want to hear. Yes, political facts. YouTube doesn't want to hear it, guys. YouTube doesn't want to hear it. Okay? Don doesn't tell lies. Don knows a lot of what's going on. He sometimes knows about more than I do. So let's not get in a boxing match with Don. Okay? It won't go good. It won't go good. Carl Smith says, I can see it now, Ron. Ron versus blank. Oh yeah, can you see that? That would be wild. Ray, be good. Please don't respect anybody, guys. If you disrespect somebody here in this chat, you won't be here. Now, I've known Ray for a long time. You need to be good, Ray and Arnold. You need to be good. Okay? Please be good. Don't disrespect each other and don't get into boxing matches. Please. Okay? Please be good. Now, I'm not going to get into everything happening over in the Pacific Northwest. However, I'm going to talk about what is happening, just briefly. During this weekend, actually right here before we go up into the Pacific Northwest, this is just northwest of Monterey Bay, Gilroy, California. We continue to have earthquakes here in this area every day. This is just a 1.5 tremor here. Up here on the northeastern side of San Francisco Bay, this is Crockett, California. This is a 1.3 tremor here. We go north here. You see a couple of quakes. These are the geysers area, guys. These are the geysers. Typically we see anywhere from 25 to 35 earthquakes here a day. This is a 1.1 tremor here. This is a 1.5, the geysers. This is where 80 different turbines here pull steam from this Clear Lake volcano just north of the geysers. They pull steam from the volcano to power turbines here in the geysers to generate earthquakes here in the Sonoma County area. That electricity is out going into Southern California, Central California, and even Utah. Rocky Mountain Power pulls power from the geysers area. Okay? Just so you know. And we have a lot of earthquakes here. I've just shown you 2 of those earthquakes here. This is a 1.5. This other, like I said, is a 0.8 microquake, and this is a 0.8 here. These are just brand new microquakes here in the geysers. Microquakes, tremors, and even 3.5, 4.0 earthquakes have been felt here in the geysers area. Okay? This is because man has dug into the upper magma chambers of this volcano and have pulled out the steam from the volcano. Seismic energy finds these man-made drill points and fractures the rock of the drill points. That's why we have earthquakes here. That's why it's shaking here, all over this area. Over here, Cloverdale Ranch, California, 1.1 tremor. Northwest of there, Boonville, California. Boonville, California has almost been a daily occurrence here. This is a 1.3 tremor here. This is just southwest of Clear Lake volcano. Okay? A lot of volcanic activity. Now, further north here, okay, this is the southwestern part of the Cascadia Earthquake Center. Okay? A 2.0 earthquake here. This is along the San Andreas Fault here, just north of San Andreas. 2.0 earthquake here and a 1.6 tremor. Over here we have the Cascadia Subduction Zone. The Cascadia Subduction Zone earthquake fault. Seismic energy comes out of the Pacific Northwest all the way down here. The Cascadia Subduction Zone reaches here to the Gorda Escarpment, which is an earthquake fault reaching out from the coast of California all the way out to Kamchatka Peninsula. The Cascadia Subduction Zone and the Gorda Escarpment also touch the San Andreas Fault here. This is where the San Andreas Fault begins. 2 earthquake faults down here in this area today. Then we go up north. I just love this. Okay? Again, I just love it when USGS says there's an explosion or they say there is a quarry blast. In this case, they're calling for an explosion here in Pires, Oregon. Interesting. It's very interesting. This earthquake this time is in an open field here. It's in an open field. Usually it is in a forested area. 1.2 explosion, really? I believe it's a 1.2 tremor. I did checking earlier, and guess what? They did not find any explosion at all. They haven't found any explosion at all. So USGS is pulling this one out of the back of their pants. They have a good time doing that. They frequently do that. Now there's a reason I'm coming up here to talk about what's going on here. Okay? Good old Pacific Northwest. Right here. Amboy, Washington. What is happening here at Amboy, Washington? It's not Amboy, Washington at all. This is Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens has undergone a change this weekend. Mount St. Helens is rumbling. The scientists here said Mount St. Helens is rumbling. There's a reason. They're still not showing evidence of what's going on. This is a 0.5 microquake, and this is a 0.7. They're not being honest with what's going on. Mount St. Helens is beginning to erupt. There's soon going to be an eruption at Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens is doing the same thing it did in 1980. It's rumbling. It's not just microquakes. It's just not tremors, and they're not showing either of those. It's not just small earthquakes either, and they're not showing any of that. USGS should be ashamed of themselves for not being honest with the public. Again, this weekend, they said that there was activity going on. Mount St. Helens was rumbling. Okay? Northwest of Mount St. Helens here. They're saying this is 21 kilometers south of Morton, Washington. Really? A microquake again, 0.3. Up at Mount Rainier. Good old Mount Rainier here. I just love this. Over on the eastern flank of Mount Rainier. Well, guess what? They just shut this dadgum. I just love it when they do this. They try to shut me down. They never really succeed completely. I'm always going to come back at them. They know better than to do this to me. I'm back, USBS. came right back. Good old Mount Rainier. The eastern flank of Mount Rainier, here we have a 0.6 microquake. Over here at the summit, we have another minus 0.4 microquake again. But again, minus numbers say it's above sea level. Well, guess what? Guess what, guys? This is not above sea level. This is over a half-mile deep. This is over a half-mile deep here at Mount Rainier. It's not a minus 0.4 microquake. Hey guys, Don Patoka put up a warning to everybody. You need to stay on topic. We need to stay on topic with what I'm talking about here on our channel. If you're not staying on topic, you're not paying attention to what I'm talking about. I want everybody to get this information. I want it to be clear. That's why we have this channel, to talk about what I am talking about, discussing what I am talking about. Why? If you're not paying attention and something happens, it's your own fault. If you are not paying attention to what I'm talking about, it's your own fault when something happens. Okay? Please pay attention to what I'm talking about. Please stay on topic. Please stay on topic, guys. It's essential for everyone's safety. USGS is not ever going to give good information at all. They never do. But when I'm showing you information, I'm showing it to you for a reason. For everybody's safety. John Francis is asking, how come nobody pays attention to Antarctica? We do. We pay attention to Antarctica all the time. When there is seismic energy there, we talk about it. I show it. I have, in fact, called out a 9.0 earthquake there 4.5 years ago. For about 2 weeks, USGS denied it. Then all of a sudden they had to eat their shorts, because a plane went up with scientists, and they discovered a 14-mile-long fissure opened up in Antarctica, in the ice. That was evidence enough of that earthquake that happened. And it's not the first time that USGS has had to eat their shorts. We've seen evidence of earthquakes happen before. We've seen volcanic eruptions that USGS has denied. And later, they've had to admit several days later, after Shibuya volcano erupted 3.5 years ago, they had to admit that it indeed happened. They first denied it happened at all. Then they said it erupted, but it was only erupted up to 35,000 feet. It erupted up to 89,000 feet high, up into the stratosphere. 89,000 foot eruption at Shibuya volcano 3.5 years ago. By the time USGS admitted it, the ash was already over Alaska. Ash from the eruption was already over Alaska. Okay? I call out USGS all the time, and I always will. Rarely do they ever give us any truth. Rarely, if ever. And you guys do a pretty good job of putting out information here on the chat as well. Richard Smith just pointed out a 2.4 over in central Alaska, a 2.4 minor earthquake in central Alaska. Stay on topic here, guys. Stay on topic. Again, Mount Rainier. 2 earthquakes here that they're not telling us anything else about. There are probably dozens of microquakes that they're showing here. They showed 2. There are dozens of microquakes. There are probably a dozen minor 2.0 and large earthquakes. Even 2.3, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes today at Mount Rainier, and yet they're not showing any of them. If I showed you the seismogram at Mount Rainier, it would show those earthquakes. But again, they're not showing anything here. Over in the western and northwestern foothills, the western northwestern foothills of Mount Rainier, 0.1 Carbonado, Washington. Carbonado, Washington has its own seismograph there. It has its own seismograph there. South of there, another surface quake. Supposedly a 0.0 surface quake. I call BS. This was not a surface quake. This was 11 kilometers deep. Nearly 12 kilometers deep. It was not a surface quake, guys. Again, USGS cannot be trusted. South of there, supposedly another surface quake. This one was 12.3 kilometers deep. Not a surface quake at all. USGS is saying this is a 0.1 microquake here. 12.7 kilometers deep. Okay? We cannot trust what USGS puts out. I just proved it. I just proved it. One other explosion happened here west of Mount Rainier. 2 kilometers east-northeast of Eatonville, Washington. Interesting. Folks, this is Eatonville, Washington. Eatonville, Washington. This is an area where there's basaltic lava all over the area. Basaltic lava all over this area. This is supposedly an explosion. A 1.0 tremor here. Notice where this earthquake is. Notice where this earthquake is. It's in a forested area. There's no explosion here. We have no reported explosions here in Washington at all. We have no reported explosions here in Washington at all. Supposedly 2 kilometers east-northeast of Eatonville, Washington. A 1.0 explosion. Folks, no explosion at all. This was not a spontaneous combustus carnivorous, an exploding tree. Okay? It was not an exploding tree. Again, this is a 1.0 tremor. I don't know where USGS gets off calling these explosions. They're not. They are absolutely not explosions at all. Over here, this is just southwest of Shelton, Washington. A 0.9 tremor here. Southwest of Shelton, Washington. Guess what, guys? It's a Puget Sound area here. The Puget Sound area. This is a 0.9 near Quilcene, Washington. Okay? Another microquake here. The Cascadia subduction zone is alive and well. The Pacific Northwest is alive and well. Yes, we get earthquakes here. We are looking for a major earthquake to happen here within the next 5 years, and it will happen. It will happen. We are monitoring this area like a fine-tooth comb. Okay? Don Pitoka says, darn gophers and M80s. Yeah. Can you imagine if you had enough M80s? I would say like 4 or 5 M80s tied together, and then they were exploded at the very exact same time. That might cause a tremor here. But that's not what they're seeing here. That's not what we're seeing at all. Crazy enough. And it is crazy. Okay? One more thing here. I have something else I want to talk about. I want to talk about a couple other things here. This is Cold Springs, Nevada. 0.9 microquake here. Can you see Walker Lane Fault? Walker Lane Fault. This whole area east of Lake Tahoe here is the Walker Lane Fault. You see the fault zone here. The Walker Lane Fault. We've seen a lot of earthquakes here. North of Los Angeles in the Antelope Valley. We had a 6.5 earthquake here 2.5 years ago on the Walker Lane Fault. We're going to see more and more earthquakes just like it. Promise you. More and more earthquakes just like it. Why? I want to go over to one other lake here. This is called Pyramid Lake. It's actually a volcano. It's actually a volcano. The summit of the volcano is right there. The summit of the volcano is this island here. Volcano Island. Okay? Pyramid Lake. Now why are we showing it to you? Because, folks, between the Walker Lane Fault and Pyramid Lake, it connects. It connects. I'm going to go all the way down to Southern California here for a minute. All the way down to Southern California, all the way down here to the Gulf of California. If you look at the old Navy map, you're going to see a connection between the Gulf of California going all the way up here to Pyramid Lake. At some point in time, there's going to be a catastrophic earthquake or a series of earthquakes. It's going to open up a waterway between the Gulf of California and Pyramid Lake along the Walker Lane Fault. Just so you know. Just so you know. Roger Reynolds is in the chat saying, were there warnings to the population the last time Mount St. Helens exploded? No. No, there were not. There may have been minor tremors happening, but USGS let people back into the area. The last eruption at Mount St. Helens was about 2003, and there were no warnings to the public beforehand. No warnings to the public beforehand. Back in 1980, warnings went out. A yellow cautionary advisory was put up by USGS at Mount St. Helens Volcanic Observatory. But all of a sudden the earthquake subsided. All of a sudden the earthquake subsided. And so the USGS decided they were going to open up Mount St. Helens again. A very short time later, hours later, Mount St. Helens erupted in fury. Mount St. Helens erupted in a fury. 59 people were killed. 59 people were killed. Even a scientist at USGS was killed. And that scientist was a specialist concerning Mount St. Helens. And he was killed. Terrible. And I'm saying it's very terrible. Hurricane Heather says, I meant the eruption in 1980. Very, very little help by USGS because, again, I'm telling you, the first USGS put up a cautionary advisory, then they took it down and allowed people back into the area. 59 people died. Okay? $59 people died. The side of the mountain ripped open. There was a bulge on the side of the mountain, and it ripped open. It took out the summit of the volcano. Caused a lot of damage. And portions of that area have not been opened up to the public since. Fascinating. Fascinating. That's one of the reasons I don't like USBS, just so you know. Anyway, something else happened today that I want to talk about. Our good friend, Dan Bongino, testified before Congress. I want to play you that testimony now. This proves everything we've been saying about what happened on July 13th and what's happening with the Secret Service and the FBI and Homeland Security ever since. Watch this video. It's just about a 9-minute video, but I think we need to see this. House Republican congressman hosted a forum on the attempted assassination of President Donald Trump. Watch this.
I'll turn over 10 minutes to the Honorable Matt Gaetz.
Mr. Prince, you're one of the people I trust most about global affairs. You're constantly assessing the threat environment and intelligence. And I guess my question to you is, because this has been laid bare and these weaknesses have been exposed, are you concerned that we're likely to face not another Crooks, but perhaps a threat like you described, a team from a foreign adversary, a terrorist organization, trying to expose and exploit the weaknesses that now we've seen?
I am very concerned. The inability of the Secret Service or the U.S. government writ large to adjust, to learn a painful lesson from that failure and actually make concrete changes. Because again, the fact that a 20-year-old nearly killed Donald Trump, and the failure to adapt to even.
So I thought this girl was working out like crazy, but she wasn't. I met her yesterday at the gym.
Sorry about that, guys. I hate these commercials. The commercials pick on me too. It's not just you guys.
Yesterday's technology, let alone tomorrow's. And when you see the step change of the ability to deliver precision fires at extended ranges, the lessons being learned on the battlefield of Ukraine, the ability for small units to deliver devastating precision fire onto any target, whether it's the White House, whether it's a motorcade, whether it's a president outside or even inside somewhere, is significant, and I don't think they have any idea what's coming at them.
And what Mr. Bongino seems to have told us is they haven't learned the lesson. He's told us decade after decade we should not expect the lesson to be learned by osmosis. Mr. Bongino, I will have to draw on your experience in protecting folks. I have none, but I do have some experience in observing what a government agency does when they're not telling the truth and they're trying to hide something. And the pattern recognition always goes to some form of scapegoating. We saw it at DOD when people refused the vax, they were scapegoated and driven out. We saw it at FBI when whistleblowers talked about spying at school board meetings and at Catholic churches, they were driven out. And now I take note of the fact that certain people at the Pittsburgh field office have been put on leave. And I've also seen the story change where initially the Secret Service was blaming folks in local government, and then there was admission that there weren't appropriate responses to requests for additional manpower. So what I'd really like to do with you is bring us into that process, because Senator Hawley now has a whistleblower saying there was a manpower request that was coming out of Pittsburgh, and headquarters Secret Service was putting downward pressure on the local agents to try to reduce the intensity of that manpower request. So give Congress a little sense, how does that get developed? And then what should we think about the fact that someone is saying that headquarters was trying to get people to not make requests of enhanced protection?
Well, I can give you an example from personal experience. I saw Senator Hawley's tweet. The Secret Service is going to rely on this and what they're trying to do now, and you're accurate in your analysis about how this cover-up is starting to work. What they're going to say is, well, there was no real formal request made. Here's an example, and then I'll tie something to something that happened to me. Imagine you're working for a company, a public company. It's actual accountability. Stock will tank or whatever. You can't make products that'll kill people. You'll go out of business. If you do, there's a penalty. But imagine you're told by your safety guy, you're the CEO, and your chief safety officer says 50 to 60 times, hey, again, this widget has a defect. And if we put this out, it's going to kill someone. And it's clear after the 50th time that the CEO doesn't care. So at the 51st time, you tell the product blows up, the CEO's gonna say, well, he didn't tell me yesterday. Well, he didn't tell you because he told you 50 times before and you ignored him. So what they're doing now is Ron Rowe, the acting director, who is the deputy director, the number 2, who is unbelievably, again, got a promotion out of this. A guy was murdered and someone got promoted, which is obscene and disgusting. He is part and parcel of this whole day-to-day ADPO, Assistant Director Protective Operations, Deputy Director, Director chain that makes management decisions. When they tell you early on, we are not doing this for President Trump, Congressman. We're not doing counter sniper teams, we're not doing CSU. And then they say, well, on that day, we didn't deny assets. You didn't have to. You've been denying them for 4 years. I was told by a direct source, this is the quote, that at Mar-a-Lago, they were begging the DTD, the Donald Trump detail, begging for enhanced security. We can't secure this place like this. And one of the quotes from one of those 3 people I just told you about was, we don't secure nightclubs. Really, what if a nightclub owner runs for president? You don't secure you secure whatever the hell they tell you to secure. That's not your job. That is what happened here. And that's what they're gonna rely on. And that's where you guys, I think, have had the guts to take this on. Do not let them fall back on euphemisms and word games where they go, well, that specific day we didn't say no to any assets. Have you in the past? How often? Matter of fact, how many counter surveillance teams have you actually dedicated? What percentage of Trump sites? How many CS teams? There's a story out there that was the first time counter sniper Secret Service assets were ever used at a Donald Trump site. So you're telling me your most threatened protectee had no professional Secret Service overwatch? As Ben showed, these guys are more than skilled and competent. They don't need the Secret Service to tell them how to do their job.
I think that gets to this intent question that Congressman Mills framed up perfectly at the beginning of our discussion. Congressman Mills says the key question here is whether this was your run-of-the-mill government incompetence or whether you see features of such just disregard for the duty at hand that you believe there's some malice. And in his opening statement, Mr. Prince says when the incompetence reaches a certain point, you can impute the malice to that. And what I think you have unique experience in is, well, like this culture of denying requests, like to Trump, or a circumstance where not even the Donald Trump detail, but the folks in the Pittsburgh field office who are not normally on the Trump detail were saying, hey, just based on this, we might need more, and they were discouraged from even making those requests, so they couldn't be denied. I think you can give us a lot of insight into the type of questions we need to be asking and of who to understand that culture, because like you think of the Secret Service, they're off with a number of protectees, yes, right? Of all kind of different profiles and different, priority, for lack of a better term. And so, like, what should we think about imputing malice at a point in which Donald Trump, one of the most threatened people on the planet Earth, is having to endure these denials and this culture of limited protection while you're seeing other details, beefed up substantially?
I think, and I don't think I put this out yet, but I'll put it out there now. When I was there, it was definitely not a political enterprise. It just wasn't. I never once, working for President Clinton, Bush, and Obama, had anyone even remotely implicate a political motive for any decision whatsoever. However, from the commentary directed at some of the agents in charge of the Donald Trump detail, which I have heard about, clearly, it appears that for the first time in American history, we have a Secret Service that is making decisions that may not be all political, but may have a political tinge to them. So what you're saying, I would love to say, Congressman, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But I tell you with a pure heart, and I'm being absolutely candid, I have no skin in this game. I don't work there anymore. I am not their PR guy. I run my own business. I absolutely believe Donald Trump and an enhanced security posture he should have had would have made him look more presidential, would have facilitated the logistical operation of him traveling. I think they were concerned about optics and making him look like a big shot or whatever, word you want to throw out there. And they were making some of these decisions based purely on grade school level politics.
I don't want to believe that, but I didn't want to believe it with the FBI either. I didn't want to believe it with the NIH either. I mean, a lot of these agencies that have been, I think, subject to political capture, we want to think of them as above that. And we all spend time around Secret Service. We're inspired by their patriotism and the willingness you have to literally take a bullet for someone if necessary. But just like in the military, just like at the FBI, I worry about the political capture happening at headquarters, and then that culture informing decisions in a way that's very damaging to the country. So what Mr. Bongino just said ought to be the most important work of the United States Congress, to figure out if these decisions were run-of-the-mill incompetence that you've got to deal with the better tech and the better processes and the better HR and get rid of the DEI. But if it's something even darker and more devious than that, that must be rooted out, because what we've seen at these other agencies of government is it does not cure itself. It has to be excised, and that investigation is the most important work we can do. I thank you guys for leading this effort.
Okay? Again, what did we just learn? What did we just learn? The management of the Secret Service was politicized. They refused to give President Trump the bodies necessary to adequately protect him. I saw one other tape earlier showing that Biden was right behind it. Biden told Ms. Cheadle, who is the former director of the Secret Service, not to give him the bodies necessary to adequately protect him. Not giving him drone capabilities either. Not giving him the equipment, the people, and the power to protect him. And as a result, President Trump got shot. President Trump got shot because the whole Secret Service was politicized. And not just that. The Secret Service, through Ms. Cheadle for the past 2.5 years, had DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. What is that? What does that have to do with anything? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. She wanted 30% of Secret Service agents to be female. If they're 30% male, the rest had to be 30% female. Incredible. 3 of the Secret Service agents that were protecting President Trump, supposedly the day he was shot, were females. They were a lot shorter than he was, substantially shorter. Yes, President Trump is 6'3". President Trump was 6'3". Those females were probably 5'4", 5'6", 5'7", tops. Tops. 5'7". They could not adequately protect the president. And you saw after he got shot how some agents put their hand up to make any further shots unreliable. Any further shots coming towards President Trump unreliable. Tried to protect him because they could not adequately cover him with height. And even when he went down the stairs to his limousine waiting for him, he still towered over the Secret Service agents. There's no Secret Service drone capability. The local law enforcement were not allowed to use their drones either. There is testimony from the Secret Service that the police were not allowed to put up their own drones to help protect the president. And they were not allowed to bring in the people necessary to help protect him. The Secret Service were not allowed to do their job. It was a political game. And the politics of protecting protectees, the president, his vice president nominee, Harris, and her nominee, and their families, this time of year, the Secret Service is literally pulled apart, trying to pull enough agents literally from throughout the United States to do their job, to help protect the protectee. It's got to come to stop. It's got to come to stop. Never in history of the United States government has the Secret Service not been able to do its job until now. Never. Excuse me. Mr. Compatore died. The former fire chief died wanting to be there watching his favorite person. Chief Compatore thought the world of President Trump. All he wanted to do was see President Trump that day. It was his birthday. It was supposed to be his birthday present. He was shot and killed. And 2 other people were injured besides President Trump. One person, I think, still is in the hospital trying to recover because the Secret Service didn't do their darn job. Mr. Biden, if you still have any influence, do your damn job. Vice President Harris, if you are indeed doing anything, you need to do your damn job and make sure everyone is adequately protected. Stop pulling politics at all. Stop pulling politics at all. It must stop, and the buck stops here. I've talked about this before, and I'm going to talk about it again until the Democrat Communist Party stops doing what they're doing. The Democrat Communist Party must lose this election. If they don't lose this election, we will not have another election at all. If the Democrat Communist Party does not lose, we will not have another election here in the United States or anywhere. Do your job. Secret Service, FBI, Homeland Security, do your damn job. Customs Border Protection. I don't give a flying rat's frosty keister. What Alejandro Mayorkas said, secure the damn border. Secure the damn border. What has been going on allowing terrorists to come into this country has got to stop. It must stop, and it must stop now. I hate being like this. I hate even talking about this. We shouldn't have to talk about this. In this election year, we should not have to be talking about our own presidency not doing their job, allowing people to get killed, even allowing President Trump, even this past weekend, not giving him enough protection where he could have been killed. 2 more threats have happened with him the last week. The last 7 days, 2 more threats have happened. One of them is still on the loose and the other has been arrested. I urge the Secret Service and all other federal law enforcement, get off your keisters and do your job. Don't be manipulated by politics. I am a former federal law enforcement agent, and I stand with you. I stand with you, and I will not allow you to be pushed around. Roger Reynolds says RFK Jr. couldn't even get protection because Biden wouldn't allow it. Biden wouldn't allow it. The chief of the Democrat Communist Party would not allow him to have Secret Service protection. What a joke. Biden should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Biden not doing his job should be arrested and prosecuted for treason. And then, if he's convicted, and I'm not just saying Biden himself, but his entire administration, if they're found to be negligent and they're convicted of treason, they all should be going to prison and or suffer the pains of what's going to happen to them. Because everybody knows what the reason is, what the excuse is, and what the punishment is of treason. And the punishment must be meted out, otherwise it's going to continue. Roger Reynolds says, I'm sure he was sure that Zelensky from Ukraine had Secret Service protection. I'm sure he did. Not just Zelensky. How about the Prime Minister of Israel when he was there? I'm sure he also had protection. It's sad. It's sad. Anyway, getting off that topic. At the end of our programs, we typically have a devotional, which I'm going to do now. I try to read from the scriptures and try to change the spirit of this meeting, because I want to leave you with uplift. I want to leave our meeting here with a little bit of spiritual uplift. I'm going over to Philippians chapter 2 tonight, verses 1 through 4. Paul here is talking to the Philippians, but he might as well be talking to all of us. If there be therefore any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels and mercy, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also Christ Jesus. Let's take that scripture to heart. Let our mind not be set upon ourselves, but upon others. Let's also try to have other people have joy in their lives. That's what the gospel of Jesus Christ really is. Making sure while we are here on this earth to show people love. Wasn't that what the Lord Jesus Christ asked us to do? Love one another as we love ourselves. That's exactly it. I pray that we can do that. Let's lift somebody up that doesn't have much. My wife and I have been helping our daughter, who is homeless in Salt Lake City. Through our help, and now the help of her grandfather. Her grandmother is a piece of garbage. But her grandfather and I and my wife have been helping her. And now she has a job. She's earning money. And this next week, she's going to get a paycheck. She'll finally be on her own, helping her way to get out of homelessness. And hopefully within the next couple months into some other permanent facility where she'll have a roof over her head and warmth. We need to make sure everybody is. We need to help those that are willing to help themselves, but also we must help them to get where they need to be able to be productive citizens in our country, in our cities, in our towns, no matter where we are. Sleeping Volcano says, why did she not go to LDS Church for help? She did. She did. She has been getting some help from the church as well. But she's also turned the LDS Church down for many reasons, because she's basically turned her back on the church. And the church has helped her. And I love my daughter. And I will continue to help her. I'm going to do what the Savior asked me to do. And my wife as well. It's sad our young people don't pay attention. Roger Reynolds said that here in the chat. Our young people need our help. It's sad. They haven't listened. Fortunately for her, she's starting to listen. Brothers and sisters, I ask all of you to do the same. Let's go find someone that needs our help. Let's not turn our back on them. Let's make sure that we help them. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I care about each and every one of you. I care about your families, your friends and relatives. I care about everybody. This channel is about help. We talk about disasters and emergencies. We also talk about preparedness. This Friday we'll go back and talk about preparedness again. Between now and then we will get some preparedness in as well. But there's a lot of things happening that we need to talk about. We need to make sure that we remember what's happening. When we see something that's happening, we can get help. We can get ourselves help and get other people's help as well. That's why we do what we're doing. May God bless you. May God bless you. Don Patoka says there's nothing wrong with the younger generation that 20 plus years won't cure. I agree. I agree. I love you all. Please share this program with everybody. Your family, extended family. Your friends, your neighbors. The people you work with and your social media contacts. Share this program far and wide. There isn't anything here on this program that others don't need to hear. Share this program everywhere. Let's help grow this channel. We're now over 6,000 members strong. Between now and Thanksgiving, I want us to be 10,000 members. The more people we bring into this program, the better this program is going to be, number one. Number two, the more people we can reach with our message, the better off humanity is going to be. God bless you. God be with you this day and always. May God bless you with the blessings that your heart can contain. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good night, everyone. Much love.